Thank you. How are you guys doing today? It's a great event. This is awesome. I love that Invest Ottawa has done this event. I actually got my start in this kind of entrepreneurship I'm doing today, an event just like this. I started Garage.com in New York back in 2000, and the Next Level 2 event in San Jose. And so I think it's great for those founders that are in the house. This is a really amazing opportunity to learn. You got founders here in the house? Yeah, you got founders here in the house, man. That's it. That's the drive for this whole entrepreneurial ecosystem. After doing that, I'm now a serial entrepreneur. It's not because I'm selling Frosted Flakes, although that would be cool. I'm now pretty much fated to build companies like this because I've been fired from every job I've ever had, and I'm fundamentally unemployable. You think that's funny? Really? Would you hire me? Come on. See, I don't even have the clicker in my hand. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about devotion hacking today. Okay, it's how to grow your businesses really fast by building advocates and mobilizing them. All right. So I met this actually really great entrepreneur a couple of months ago. His name was Carl Pei. Carl Pei is founder and CEO of a company called OnePlus. It's one of the fastest growing companies in the world. You might not have even heard of it. You guys heard of OnePlus? Okay, probably one of the largest sales to marketing ratios anywhere in the world. Okay, last year they had over $300 million in sales, and their marketing expense was about $3,000. Not joking. So how on earth did they do that, right? How do they do that? Well, it's because their first product was not a hand phone. Anybody guess what their first product was? It was community. Before Carl went to go build anything, he created a community of smartphone enthusiasts. And he asked them, so what do you want in a camera, right? What do you want in an accelerometer, right? What is really meaningful for you in terms of, marketing messages? What tribe do you belong to? Okay, and he built a community around these special people, around these enthusiasts. So then when it came time to build his phone, he had a ready-made community with which to market it. So his go-to-market system was really this community. That's how he has such a high sales to marketing ratio. Now, I believe, everyone, this is the future. So if you are a founder today and you are considering building a company, you should start first and foremost by thinking about who's your community of buyers that you want to acquire, really understand them, and then when it's time to actually build and sell your product, you can go out there and mobilize them. All right. So it's not all good out there in Marketerville, okay? Things are burning out there. Right? So a lot of you are thinking about, I got to optimize all my funnels, and I'm thinking about SEO, and I'm creating listicles about cats, and God knows what people are doing these days to go and drive distribution. But think about the last time you bought something risky or expensive. Think about how that happened. Right? Was that because of an email that you received? Was it an ad that you saw that did it? Driving you to some website and you're reading like, oh, crap on a homepage? Is that how you made that risky decision? So think about that. How did that work? How did you make that decision? Chances are all these methods that marketers are spending so much time and money is not the way that you actually buy things that matter to you. And all this stuff was actually prophesied many, many years ago back in the 70s. There's a great Canadian scholar, actually, from Toronto, Marshall Mcluhan. Have you heard of Marshall Mcluhan? Anyone here? Yeah. Anybody hear of The Medium is the Message? Medium is the Message. Ron Warburton, are you here? He probably knows him. It's about the same vintage. Hi, Ron. What does that mean? What does it mean the medium is the message, right? So what it means is that more important than the content itself is the vehicle by which the content is delivered, because that is what says a lot about the nature of the society that this medium is in. So he was very active in the age of television. Age of television, right? Think about that back then. What television really meant to society. So what was really interesting about television was it was really the first time when you had an audience that was comfortable, often in their living rooms, kind of leaning back and kind of taking it all in. And what was going on was that marketers and even politicians, which are really our marketers, were able to pretty much program the audience, pretty much tell the audience what to think. And that was the message of television for Marshall McLuhan. Now, of course, television really is not as relevant today, right? What is the dominant medium of our time? What's most influential for you? Well, chances are it's a social web. Right? So these days, all these media like email and content and ads, all this stuff is probably not meaningful anymore. Chances are the answer to that question of what is most influential for you in making that risky purchase decision or taking that risky job or hiring that risky hire was the social web. It's who was talking to you and what they were saying, the value of that person, that trusted advisor. So today, the messenger is the message. Messenger is the message. So how do we harness that for our companies? So I assume you heard today from product people who told you how important it is to build a really compelling product, right? How do we go and build a product that people just love, they just rave over those products? How do we build products that go and build advocates, right? You're probably thinking about how do we build wow moments into our product so that we have people that ideally are raving fans. So I'm not going to talk about that today, though I could. Okay? We're not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about how do you get to these people at the right? You know, these Senators fans over here. How do you get these people who paint themselves practically and really get active in terms of referring you and writing reviews and giving you all this positive feedback? How do you get people who are really fired up there on the right? And how do you do it systematically? So that's what I'm excited about. Not just like a one-time lucky viral hit, but how do you systematically get your best customers to do all the sales and marketing for you? Okay, is that interesting? All right, should be. But first, let me talk a little bit, take a step back of what I think advocates are. So a lot of people, when they talk about advocates, they talk about referrals. And those are really important, right? So people who go and tell other people, hey, you should try this product. You should hire this person. You can trust this company. And for sure, those people are really important. But we have a much more expansive vision of what advocacy is. And I think it's any non-financial investment that someone makes in your company. Any non-financial investment. Any experienced entrepreneur here in this room will say that there's no way I could have built my company without these enthusiastic customers that did so much more than just write me a check. They did so much more. They gave me feedback about how to improve my product. They gave me feedback about how to create a better marketing campaign. You know, so many different things that they get involved with. We can't build a great companies without it. So many things that they get involved with. I come in from the B2B side, where advocates get involved in a lot of things. So with respect to social proof, right, those 5-star reviews, would you go and if you had an anniversary dinner with your loved one, I mean, would you do it at a restaurant without checking the Yelp rating first? Like, probably not. So these reviews are super, super important now. Social amplification, when you go and create content, you want people to go and share it. You need references. You want to close a big deal. How are you going to do that without a happy customer and making your prospect feel comfortable? Case studies. I mean, these days, we need so many more relevant studies from successful customers, all the different use cases, right, and all the different user types, in order to feel like, yeah, that's a relevant person. If that person's happy, then I'm going to be happy. Right? So, 10 years ago, if we had like 15 success stories on our website, that was considered really good. These days, you need probably 100 times that in order to make your sales team really effective by getting the right story to the right prospect. And finally, churn, and this is becoming really important. There's so many apps out there. There's so much, even B2B software. Right? I make marketing software. I got 4,000 other companies that are making marketing software, right? And that's putting a lot of pressure for companies who might want to try lots of different things. Happy customers can also be really effective at reducing churn as well. You got a customer that may be churning, connect them to a happy customer, and that way you can go and reduce churn. So much value if you can actually build a business that is built around advocates. Now, one company, I'm sorry, there's a change in my program today. So I'm going to talk about a couple different areas of how to systematically motivate advocates. We're going to go all the way from the galaxy view of macro all the way to the bacteria view over there, micro. Right? So how do you systematically engage those advocates, use principles of social psychology in order to motivate them, and then how to really get that addiction quality in your product so that they do a lot more advocacy. So I'm a former academic. I got fired out of that too. So I have to have a framework, advocate motivation model. Right? So here's my model for how to systematically engage advocates. First, you need an exclusive tribe. Second of all, be able to meaningfully measure impact. And third, provide social capital. So one, exclusive tribe. So why do people paint their faces at sporting events? You guys have this with Senators fans up there painting themselves? Do people actually wear those helmets at games? I don't know. I don't really watch TV anymore. But why do people do that? Right? Why do people dress up when they go to sporting games? You know, so it works in Ottawa. It works down in Argentina too. Like, why do people carve these images of logos into their hair? And why do people like tattoo Kawasaki motorcycles on their arm? Do you guys know the Kawasaki Motor Club? No, you're right, because there is none, right? It's Harley. It's the Harley owners group, right? Because that's cool. It's an exclusive tribe, right? You want to become part of it. So if you want to create a really effective advocate program, you want to create an exclusive tribe sort of feeling so people really want to be a part of it. That's the first thing. Second of all, meaningful impact. So look, everyone needs feedback, right? We all need feedback in our work. Hey, even like animals need feedback and bacteria need feedback. I mean, everyone needs feedback. So if you can tell advocates how they've been meaningful for you, if they've referred you a prospect, you should let them know how that prospect's doing. Are they moving through the funnel? Are they doing a demo? Right? If someone's written a guest blog post for you or created some other type of content, done a 5-star review, if you let them know, yeah, that really worked for us, like people really like it, that kind of feedback drives them to do a lot more of that activity. And finally, social capital. Look, if you've got an advocate that is developing a lot of credibility inside your community that you create, that's good, for sure, right? And they're going to really love being part of that community. But what really turbocharges this, right, is if they enhance their career prospects, their life prospects, by advocating for you. Can you help them get promoted because they're advocating for you? Right? Can you help them get that great new job? Can you help them get a raise? Those are the things really to think about, that their life improves because they are actively advocating for you. One company that really gets this is Tesla. Right? How much money does Tesla spend on marketing? Yeah, not much. How much do they spend on commissioned sales professionals? Nothing. Right? They spend absolutely nothing. What is the way, how has Tesla built such a dominant car company? Well, they built an amazing product, but their distribution is all about advocacy. So what they do are they do these car rallies. Right? They invite prospective owners to go to these car rallies. The conversion rate is 70%. It's unbelievable. Someone goes to these things, gives it 70%. The conversion rate in the sort of normal car industry is 12%, and that includes a test drive. These guys don't even get a test drive. Right? So it's pretty amazing, and it goes even further. Okay, it extends right into the car itself. I'm not kidding. So if you go into a modern Tesla, you actually get a link up into your address book, and it'll ask you, hey, do you want to recommend Ron Warburton to become a customer? Right? And if that's successful, then Ron gets $1,000, and then you as a referrer gets $1,000. But there's more. So you want to see the genius of this and how much Elon Musk understands psychology. Do you know what happens if you refer 10 people that become customers? It's amazing. You get access to an exclusive advocate edition of the Model S. And it's only available to advocates. It has all the features, including ones that are not available anywhere else. You still have to pay for that car, but you get the bragging rights of having a car unlike just about any other car in the world, right? And that shows you really a lot about advocate psychology and how sophisticated Elon Musk about it. Like, that's social capital to a capital T right there. All right. Okay, so we talked about the macro stuff, right? We talked about social psychology, how to build this exclusive tribe, meaningful impact, social capital. Now we're going to talk a little bit about growth hacking. I love this topic of growth hacking, and I divide this into white hat and black hat. So what is white hat growth hacking? Hopefully a lot of you guys are doing this in your business, and this is having a culture of testing and experimentation in your company. Constantly testing, A/B test every time. I'm doing that on stage right now. You are my guinea pig. I am testing a new message on you, and I'm reading your faces. This is falling flat over here. This part's a little better. Are always testing and experimenting things, and that is true for your advocate programs as well. You always want to be trying out new ideas and having real controlled experiments so you know what you should double down on and what you should stop doing. So that is, to me, what white hat growth hacking is all about. I get a lot of my inspiration from games. I love video games. I played a lot of video games as a kid, and I think that gaming offers a lot of insights into how we should be building software. I build business software, enterprise software, but the product really feels more like a game than like traditional software. And so if you want to make an advocate program work, you should make it fun, right? It shouldn't feel like work. It shouldn't feel like, oh, please, 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 give me a referral. Please give me this reference. I need to close a deal by the end of this quarter to make my number. That feels like work, right? It should be more like fun. And that's why I like things like points and badges and competition and like all that fun stuff. And the great thing is when you introduce principles of game mechanics is that you can run A/B tests on them all day long. And you can see, well, how many points do I give? What kind of rewards really work? So on and so forth. This is our product. You can do advocate marketing, and you do not need our product at all. But my point is that you want to make it not like work. You want to provide an opportunity for people when they do things for you. You want to give them some reward for it. It doesn't have to be money. In fact, things that are money, that are cash-like, actually dissuade people. You really want to make it more around some of those principles that I talked before, right? About social capital, about meaningful impact. So you give them points. You give an opportunity maybe to make a donation to their favorite charity. I mean, these sorts of things that we find are really effective. And it could be as simple as just having a dinner where you have your prospects and customers in one room, and the prospects help sell the customers, and then you give something really great to those happy customers after that sell the prospects. We do a lot of A/B testing here with advocates. We now have advocacy in all of our ads. Okay, so I said ads suck, and it's true, they do, but you know what ads actually do kind of work? The ones that have relevant, happy customers in them. Okay, those actually work pretty well. So we did this test of having a standard ad versus an ad that had a happy customer in it. Okay, our conversion rate went from 2% up to 14%. We've generated millions of dollars in pipeline by having relevant, happy customers involved in our ads. To the point now where we're able to get lots of our customers involved in this. You can see the form that we used here. Hey, would you be interested in having your image featured in upcoming campaign banners? People say yeah, and they say a little bit about themselves. We stick these things in ads, and now this has become like a repeatable part of the way that we go to market. Okay, so if you're going to do any marketing at all, and I do like marketing, it's good. It just, marketing goes a lot better when it's got happy customers attached to it, it's got advocates, than as opposed to you just talking about yourselves. All right, let's talk about black hat growth hacking. Does anyone know what black hat growth hacking is? All right, so a story and how I ended up coming back here to Canada. So for a couple of years, I lived in Asia. I was actually based in Singapore. I got involved in a really interesting company that made the world's greatest cricket game. The world's greatest cricket game, and it was built on top of Facebook. It was really interesting because all the founders of the company were Pakistani, and the main market was in India, and that was like really interesting. And I was on the board of that company, and I was an investor. And they had this guy in the company, and his name was Shredder. To this day, nobody knows what his name was. His name was Shredder. And he found a way to spam every single cell phone in India with like ads for this cricket game. And actually, it really worked, and it got them a lot of lift. And that's when I thought maybe I should get off the board, because I was in Singapore, and they caned you for that shit. But anyway, so that's the story of Shredder. Then I got back to Canada. The founders are good, so I brought them all back to my company with me. It was hilarious. That's a long story. But I mean, black hat growth hacking, think about how Airbnb got, its big push from getting its stuff into Craigslist? Was it legal? Was it not legal? It's kind of borderline. It's kind of gray. That's why it's black hat, okay? So black hat is all about leveraging channels that are underutilized, right? So this is one of my favorite questions to go and ask advocates. It's really powerful. What or who is newly influential for you over the last 6 months? The reason why you're asking this is you want to find a new channel, right? You want to find out where there's a new place that no one else knows about that you can dominate before your competition gets in there. Okay, so this is black hat growth hacking. And so we had one of our early customers as a division of Dell called Case, Case Networks, Dell bought. And they asked this question. And they said, hey, what's newly influential for you? And a whole bunch of people said, Reddit, which is really weird. Okay, this is 2013. So now Reddit's much more mainstream, right? 2013, the only thing that was going on at Reddit was like anarchists and dirty jokes and like conspiracy theorists. And that's it. Okay? There was no business going on at Reddit. So we thought, it's not true. Okay, so they actually found that there were people that were talking about endpoint security, which is what they did. They did endpoint security, and they were talking about it in Reddit. In fact, there were things saying, hey, I'm considering competitor A or B. What should I pick? So what they started to do was put out challenges in their advocate program and say, hey, can you help out here, advocates? Can you do something? Right? And so they'd say, actually, none of the above. You should try Case. And so people started to hear about Case in the Reddit community. Okay, and then you see another one over here. This Reddit user wants to know how Case, Altruist, and SCCM stack up against each other. So in the old days, you might have like the company founder go up in there and say, I'm the company founder. I'm going to tell you to go pick Case. How effective is that? Not really effective. But what happens if you've got like 19 happy customers saying, Case is the best, and here's why it's the best? It's going to be way, way, way more effective, right? So step one, use advocates to find these new channels that not a lot of people know about yet, and then use your advocates to go and dominate that channel that's now growing. You can build a billion-dollar company just by doing this. Pretty amazing. So out of this, I got 19 positive product reviews, and actually, this is probably $8 or $9 million of revenue that's come out of these kinds of programs. Pretty amazing. All right, something going on here. All right, we'll skip that. All right, devotion hacking. Put it all together. So here's the model. You got, if you want to go and do a great job of hacking advocacy, think about the macro and then the micro. Okay, build an exclusive tribe. Make it really cool to be part of your advocate community. Number two, tell advocates how they're doing and how they're making an impact on your business. Third, give them social capital so they improve their life because of their association with you. But then the micro is also important. Constantly experimenting, iterating, identifying new channels that are under-leveraged, and then dominating those channels with that advocate community. So I'm convinced this is a new way to build billion-dollar companies. I would encourage the founders in this room to really think about these ideas and leverage them in building your awesome companies. All right, so finally, build advocates and mobilize them. It's my message today. If that's all you do in your company, you'll do well. Make advocates your messengers. And I think we'll stop. Take some questions. Cool. Thank you. All right, question time.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. Is that Mike?
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Mike.
Yeah. So how do you handle advocacy when your customer base are competitive, right? So they have a competitive relationship between each of them. And so you might be or may not be giving them competitive advantage or whatever. How do you handle advocacy in that sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, we've built our company on these types of companies because it's hard. And the way to do it is by building a really strong relationship with those advocates so that they feel really compelled to advocate for you. And the way to do that isn't to do what a lot of companies typically do, which is, oh, hey, you're a new customer. Can you give me a press release with your name all over it? Right? That doesn't work. A lot of our customers are in the security space. Like, a lot of people don't want to jump up and down and say, please hack me. They don't want to do that, right? So the way to do it first is to start small and say, I just have only one thing to ask of you. Can you follow me on Twitter? That's it. Or like me on Facebook. Or can you give me some feedback on how our product's going? And that's it. Really small. And so you start building up. And then you can, once once you get that, this is a psychological principle called consistency, right? That once people do a little tiny favor for you, they now think that you're a good person, because if they don't, they have cognitive dissonance. So then you can ask for the next thing and say, hey, these people are saying not so nice things about us. If you like us, can you say something nice about us? And maybe that's the next thing. And then finally, you might get to the point where we have a couple of our customers. I mean, I can't believe this works, but they have an experience in an advocate program called Write a Book. It's a Write a Book. And literally, they ask their advocates, like, can you go write a book for us? And the whole idea here is there's two options. There's write a book or write a blog post. So the whole idea was to use the book as like a kind of an anchor, like a price anchor, so that people will write the blog post. They've had 5 books written. And like one of these people is like a super celebrity in Indonesia for like being the MuleSoft expert. It's pretty crazy. But the reason why I build these relationships is after a while, you say, hey, we'd love to get a case study from you, and if you make it anonymous, we'll give you 1,000 points. But if you can tell me your name or company, we'll give you 10,000 points. Right? And so that person then goes to their manager and say, we want to help these guys out. Like, we should really do this, and it's 10,000 points, and we'll get the guru to speak to us for half an hour and that sort of thing. And we find that that really works. So what really works in advocate marketing is to build up really strong relationships with your advocates, and that way they actually feel more part of your community than their own company, which is really what the goal is. So hopefully I answered your question. Sort of. All right, next.
Right here. Check. Sorry about that. Just wondering why you didn't mention gray hat hacking. I'm a little surprised at that.
What is gray hat hacking?
Check. What is gray hat? Well, I mean, I'd be happy to give you a lesson afterwards. But
Okay.
gray is in the middle between white and black.
Sort of a mix of the two.
Gray breaks TOS but doesn't put you in jail.
Breaks TOS and in jail. Yeah, so yeah, like Shredder would probably be black there, but Airbnb is probably gray on that example.
That's
Would that be right.
Yeah, it's right. They pissed off Craigslist, but everyone obviously fell in love with Airbnb, so they must have done something right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would lump gray hat hacking and black hat hacking in with this presentation. I guess what I wanted to say here in a black hat growth hacking is it's about under-leveraged channels. It's about finding those channels that, well, are in the gray zone, to your point, right? Like in this case, I think what Airbnb did with Craigslist was gray. I mean, it, is borderline. And if it's legal, I think it's cool. So yeah, I think it's a great tactic, and the question I asked is a really easy way to do it. Like Airbnb could have asked people, probably did, hey, where do you go looking for temporary places to stay? And people would probably say, I go to Craigslist. And they go, okay, let's figure out how to go and leverage that. So anyway, yeah.
Great talk, by the way. It was very informative. Thanks so much for that. My question is, it's directed at target populations. For my business is more with seniors and baby boomers. Do you find your framework is applicable to all target audiences and age ranges?
Yeah, so far it's been, for age ranges, yeah, we've done pretty well with people who are older. Where we found some professions that are different than others, and I think it's because professions tie a little bit to personalities. Right? So for us at the top of the pyramid, for people who are like absolutely insane about advocating for anything they really love, are teachers. Teachers are just like completely overboard. The very, very worst are purchasing managers. Oh man. These are just curmudgeons. Like, it's pretty hard to motivate these people. So I think there's a certain sort of personality type that really, when they find something that they love, they really want to go and tell the world about it. And those include older people, and those include younger people. And I think if you build something with a sort of framework in mind, look, there's lots of baby boomer. I mean, how many 60-year-old like Harley riders you see? Like, they're all everywhere. So I think you build something with that sort of framework, I think you'll find quite a few people are attracted to what you're doing. All right, where's that cube? Oh, there it is.
First of all, you're priceless. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
This is great. So I have a question regarding your thoughts on how or whether advocates can help teach a product. So if, let's say you have a product that involves a learning curve, do you think that advocates are effective to advocate the education of that? Well, for instance, a type of software.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, because you're leveraging that same principle of peer association, right? So, and I think it's a very powerful use case. I think all of us that are building software have parts of our technology we're building that's really powerful and sticky, and it's hard to get people to use it for some reason or another, right? And so if you can get people advocating and saying, yeah, I use that sales forecasting functionality, and it's great. Here's my story about it. Especially if you can get advocates to tell that story in their words and make it really humanize it, make it compelling. Here's why I use this part of the software and what it's done for me. Then I find it really powerful. Yeah, I mean, we use advocates for all kinds of things. Like the latest thing we've tried that's really cool. I mean, if you guys do content marketing, sort of create ebooks and white papers and stuff, right? Some of you might put a form in front of it, which scares people away. But what if you can take that form and put it in the middle of the piece, and then use advocates to sell, hey, here's why you should fill out that form and why you should read the rest of it. Right? It's actually really, really powerful. So I think you can leverage that principle of advocacy almost everywhere in that business, but that's a powerful use case. And that's one that really will drive that LTV to CAC over time, because you get people to use the parts of your product that are going to drive renewal and upsell.
Thank you.
I love this. I'm totally getting this blue cube mic.
Why do, especially in for like this one case on Reddit, why does anyone trust them? Like, why does anyone trust these advocates? Why do the public in general?
Yeah. So do you trust, like if you were to, I don't know, you're looking for a hotel and you see like 100 5-star reviews about a hotel, like do you trust them or do you discount all of them?
I would trust a few of them, but maybe not all of them.
Bingo. Which ones you trust?
I don't know. I trust if there was a large majority that said it's the same thing.
Yeah. So you have a you've got a very effective bullshit detector. You probably more than most from the sound of your question. But we humans are actually pretty good at detecting bullshit. And it's pretty obvious. Like if you guys read Glassdoor reviews, I love reading Glassdoor reviews. I think they're so fun. My daughter, literally, she loves me reading Glassdoor reviews to her, like as a bedtime story, especially the ones that really bad CEOs. So funny. But you can always tell those like BS reviews that like HR is writing, and you know right away it's like HR wrote that, marketing wrote that. Oh, this one's real. It's got that sort of ring of truth to it, especially if you read 2 or 3 or 4 that are kind of similar, right? So the reason why it would work is if they're genuine, right? So people who go and do reviews like this, they actually care passionately about this product. They want to see it win. They want to see it vanquish the competition. And so they are honest about it. And you know what? For most people, their integrity matters to them. They're not going to go prostitute themselves for a bunch of points. So I think that's why it's worked. And you're right about numbers. Right? If you just see a couple of reviews, But if you see 19 reviews that all sound kind of truthy, right, chances are there's something real there, or something good.
Right. So, cool, talking into a box. So you mentioned Reddit in 2013 was this new thing that was not really on anyone's radar.
For business, yeah.
Yeah. So what communities or platforms today would you say are analogous to Reddit in 2013 in the sense that they're popular with the most savvy consumers and are not really like far down the life cycle of adoption as a review and influence platform?
Yeah, and I only know my industry on that. Like different industries have different new things that are going on. Like what space are you in?
Management consulting.
Yeah, so that would be interesting about management consulting. My guess is that there's some places where management consultants and consulting are rated and reviewed that would be kind of interesting. I know that in my space, and this is not going to sound that profound for you, but again, I'm in the B2B enterprise software space. I sell software for like $50,000 a pop, thereabouts. But one thing that's becoming super influential in our space is Producthunt. Okay, now a lot of you guys know Producthunt because you see it all the time and you look at products over it all the time. But for enterprise software, this is weird, right? A lot of things that are on Producthunt are free software, inexpensive software. But what we're seeing now are enterprise software companies are producing new modules and sort of free stuff, and looking and seeing what people are saying about them is becoming very influential in our space. So every industry has these new spaces out there. And I don't know what they are. I don't know what it is for management consultants. But it would be really interesting for you to go and ask your community of folks and ask them that question. So where are you spending time now that you never did 6 months ago? Right? Who do you find that's influential for you now that was never on your radar screen before? And that's a great way to go and find an underleveraged channel. But yeah, every space has their own thing.
Great, thank you.
All right. Almost done.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right, thank you. You've been a great audience. Cheers.